All right, all right, all right. Aloha Friday, everybody. Thank you for being with us today and taking this time to be on with us. And today on Aloha Friday Live, I have my friend from across the pond, all the way in the UK, Erin, and we're going to be speaking about effortless. Oh my goodness, what a topic, what a theme, what a thing to even wrap around a conversation, Erin, as we dive into this conversation. I've often said to myself, why can't we just do? Why can't we just be? Why do we make it so hard? And folks, Erin is the owner of Effortless. She is a business leadership and life success transformation coach, and also the author of From Purpose to Profit. Erin, thank you for being with us on Aloha Friday Live.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. And I'm just thinking that I've changed my background. I should have found something like with a beach and sunset, because now I'm spoiling the whole vibe, Yeah.
No, don't worry. We got plenty to discuss that will adjust that. But we was talking earlier about this whole thing called effortless and how you do it. And not too much time on you, but let's discuss effortless. What is that?
Oh, in my world, it's a way of living. And sorry, I didn't expect to see myself on the screen without talking to a host. It's a way of living, the way to make your life a little bit easier, because I do have this impression and learning, I guess, over time, that we make our life and business much harder than it's supposed to be. And when we realize it, and when we realize that there is a way out of the situation, we can make it more effortless. We can make it easier. So yeah, the whole thing is about how to struggle less, because we tend to for a very simple reason. Lives are not easy. They're hard to go through them. And most people accept the fact that we are struggling as a way of living. This is how it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's not the case. So if we have an opportunity to make it a little bit easier on ourselves, whether again in life or whether in business, and the different processes and the different things come in both cases, yes, there's opportunity to do so. And this is exactly what I'm talking about, because I'm experiencing it, and I want other people to realize that struggle isn't mandatory.
And I was just telling you this morning, I was having a conversation with myself on what things you don't need to do. And I was looking at a way that I was approaching something. And, thank goodness for these long drives where, I have my jazz going on and I'm able to reflect on even the thoughts that come up. But I said, you don't necessarily need to think of it that way, because having the knowledge that you don't know everything, it may not even be that. So I started to digress from an approach that I had and allowed myself to start thinking from a different perspective, and all that went away. And so it talk about effortless. There was some effort in the sense that I had to bring myself to that conversation. And folks, if you don't talk to yourself, you're missing out. It's not a crazy thing, but it did help me right size myself, put myself in a good position to experience what it would be to have an effortless approach at this, because now I didn't have to wait till I engage somebody. I handle that all on my end. And then when I get to the position of speaking with this person, it may go a whole lot better than what it initially was set up for.
Yeah, in all fairness, you said one very important thing, or you mentioned very important word. You said thinking. And yes, You said that you tried to correct the way you were thinking, but in reality, there's even an easier way out of the situation, and the easier way is not to think. Okay, it may be easier said than done, but just trust me, it is possible. So the way the story goes, uh, we all know this therapy approach in terms of beliefs, thoughts, action, emotions, and actions. Right? It's not the complete loop, because the complete loop would be finishing with experiences that come from emotions and actions, and then usually, because of our bias, is going to reinforce our beliefs. Right? So then you're going to have a complete circle. But in the middle of it, there's two very interesting things that people don't often talk about. So the first one, yes, we have thoughts, but then the second one, we also have thinking, and they're not the same.
Mm-hmm.
In my experience, when you have a thought and when you are ready and able to catch it, when it's still lonely here, up here, you can then get rid of it, or you can question it. What I usually personally do, if I hear something in my head that I don't like, that doesn't make me feel good, I immediately ask myself, so does this thought serve me? And because I'm not feeling good about it, obviously it doesn't. So when I catch it, when it's still lonely, I can actually get rid of it. There are different ways of you can do it, right? You can put it on a cloud, you can put it on a leaf, there are different techniques, or you can just switch your attention, or you can switch music. It doesn't really matter. The point is that before the thought turns into thinking, it is where you can cut it. When it becomes thinking, then very often we start engaging with it, because after one sentence that we have in our head comes another one, then we start questioning, then we start talking to ourselves. And the same, it comes to all different situations. But even when we talk about action, because in the beginning we're talking about action, why we can't just do, for a very simple reason. If we don't do it at the moment, we will talk ourselves out of doing it. Right? I don't want to write something. I don't want to do my taxes. If I let myself sit on this thought, and then I start thinking, okay, so what else can I do instead? Right? Probably I'm going to do it tomorrow. Or probably there's going to be something else. Or I ask somebody to help me, and they say, you're not doing it. Right? Because you just talked yourself out of the situation, and you found an excuse, obviously, why you're not going to do it now. But when you don't think, or when you catch it early, you have no opportunity to talk yourself out. You just do. And you know what? It's actually is not as unpleasant as you would think it would be, because you just do diligently what you're supposed to do, and it's done. Because all our unpleasantness, I don't want to do it, I don't like it, it's not my type of a job, where it's all coming from? It's all coming from our thinking. Right? And thinking creates this emotional charge that, again, goes to actions goes to behavior, so the whole thing continues. But emotions come from thinking. One thought, it's neutral. Any thought is neutral. But then when we charge it and we engage with it, they start being emotional. And that's where things come from.
And that ownership is so critical. Now, it's interesting that you said, "Hey, it comes in." There's plenty that comes that comes at you, right? Constantly, sometimes during the day. But that initial point takes extreme ownership of what you have inside. So these thoughts come. I address. Hey, hold on. Let me check you now. Let me check if you are even worth the time that
Exactly.
you're trying to occupy in my mind, right?
Exactly.
And at that point, you can say, "No, this is for a later time. Not going to be doing that today," or "Absolutely not. Get rid of it." Or say, "Hey, this is something that's important enough. It is going to have some type of effect on not just me, but the future here. So let me go ahead and address this." and that takes a huge amount of sense of ownership. So how does that play in the effectiveness of us, battling this
Well,
thinking?
there are actually a couple of things that I guess worth mentioning. So the first thing, very important to realize again from the very beginning, that most things that we think, they may not be true, and very often they're not.
Right,
Right?
right.
So again, it's the question of checking the validity of your thinking before you get emotional or
Mm,
before you really engage with it. It's like I said in the beginning. I keep on asking Kate, does it serve me? Because I know that if I stick with this one, my mood is going to go down, or I'm going to get angry, or going to something else. All these emotions, unpleasant emotions, I try to cut them from the very beginning because, again, from the emotional comes action that we don't like and that we often regret after. So, checking the validity is one thing. Is it really true? And most cases, it is not, because even what we believe is true is still coming from our conditioning. And something that may be true for us may not be true for somebody else, which means that there's no absolute truth in what we think, right? And that is the first thing that is very challenging because it's going to affect our self worth in certain cases, confidence, our position in the world, because then you start asking whether actually you're right. And no, many people don't like it. But it makes it so much easier because it helps avoid many situations which we would probably want to avoid, but we don't. And another thing that is important when we talk about it is approach to mindfulness, right? Because I understand that most people engage with thinking because it's a kind of a guilty pleasure, and then it leads to something. Because it's always going to be a reward, even if you're angry. All right, so I was right, I was wrong, she is wrong. Yeah, okay, so I make myself feel pump up. Yes, I did it. Or, oh my God, I feel so sorry for myself. Right? Poor me. Let's go and buy ice cream. Right? So there's always going to be a reward or something what you're getting out of it. Or when you're mindful and when you follow your thought, what's happening there, then it's easier for you to stop it before it becomes detrimental for you, your business, or your relationship.
Well, I'm telling you right now, I'm not gonna lie. If ice cream is what we reward ourselves with, I'll be there all the time. But without the joking, that I'd be interested in the listener right now, those that are viewing or listening. How do you go through the process of validating your thoughts? Because it's very critical, especially when you talk about the amount of time that we invest in these constant battles of thoughts, some that, to your point, may not at all be valid. And we normally drive our thinking to validate what we're feeling, right? So a lot of times we're setting ourselves up for a consequence or a result. But I'd be interested in hearing from the audience, how do you go about validating your thoughts, or even if you do? All right. Sometimes we don't. We're captive audience to everything that comes our way. And boy, if you have more than 24 hours in a day, please let me know, because your mind can go down rabbit holes that you don't even want to go through. Now, Erin, you talk about the personal aspect of that. This is a own personal battle every day. But on the business front, because this is very critical as you're trying to take your personal endeavor in capturing and validating thoughts to the business platform, which you may be overwhelmed already, and now you're trying to make some business decisions.
Right. It's a fantastic question because now I'm going to disclose my three types of clients, favorite types of clients. So the first type runs like a headless chicken. The second one is being trapped in a hamster wheel. And the third one is part of a rat race, right?
Mm,
So I keep on saying that my client said chicken, hamster, and rat.
right.
But the thing is that most of our business struggles and stress and overwhelm, it's still led by our thinking. Surprise,
Mm,
surprise. So, okay, thinking is not the only thing, because
right.
from my experience, what also makes businesses challenging, uh, first of all, it's a lack of strategy, because it seems like nowadays people don't realize that actually strategy makes your life and your business much easier to run. It makes it much more flexible, more organized, more structured. It helps you. It's like, putting a pavement to get to the destination where you want to go. Because what I always notice, what businesses do, that they try something. They go this direction. They try something. They go another direction. They try
Mhm.
something else. They go so the destination is nowhere closer, but the resources are already gone, right? And the
Mm,
stress mounts. And yeah, so the first thing to make it more effortless in business is to reconnect with strategy. Either way, you're gonna do it, but it's
right.
really gonna make your life easier. Another thing is a bit of a mindset change. This is another thing that I notice businesses do. They're very much focused on sales, and they're incredibly focused on objectives. Objectives rule the business alongside with sales.
Mhm.
In reality, it's not quite the same, because what I found with objectives, and it's again, that's what I talk about mindset. Objectives, whether we achieve them or not, they're not going to make us feel any happier. Because
Mm,
what happens, right? Assuming you're on the journey, you are going up the hill because it's effort, it's challenging. You go up to reach this objective, you reach it. So, what do you see being on top of the hill? You see more hills to climb, right? So, you're probably going to get drunk, and then off you go. You need to climb another hill. If you don't reach the objective, you're going to get drunk again, right? So basically, it makes no difference whether you reach it or not. And then you still need to go to the hill, right? But if you get a different approach, I think it goes very well with the theory of continuous improvement. When you see a destination, but you focus on your daily task of improving here and there a little bit, so you don't have the mental pressure, psychological pressure of achieving the objective, but you are improving all your business streams holistically, and it makes it easier on you psychologically. And the business will be improved. It's inevitable. You can't do it other way. And the same thing comes from sales. We all put on sales. All our effort is like sales rule the business. No, in reality, marketing rules the business, not sales. Sales is a supportive function for what marketing does. But it's not about sales, so you can't push it. It's about your customers, because I keep on saying that sales don't come from what we sell, or money doesn't come from what we sell, but from what people buy. It's again a change of mindset. So if you switch your perception of your business from pushing and selling onto how to make people be willing to open their wallets to pay for your products, then it's going to be easier, right? And it will work better, because ultimately, again, they sponsor your business, not your sales, right? So it's another thing that's going to make it easier, together with obviously change of I can't say control. I don't like the word control, but being able to negotiate with your thoughts, right? That's another thing. And the third thing another thing that is important is what makes it really struggling for a business. It's over focus on return on investment.
mm,
Okay, there are different situations where it's necessary, because the venture capitalists
right.
sponsored, they want to get money back immediately. Okay, here I have nothing, there's nothing possible to do. But the problem is that return on investment, they become prevalent in our heads, in our business, because every activity that we try to make, it's about supposed to bring us immediate money. The problem is it doesn't work because the pattern of business building around return on investment goes that way, up and down, up and down. You have your activity, you got your money, it goes down. It's not sustainable. And again, by the time this amplitude, it's gonna diminish because customers gonna get accustomed to
Right.
getting deals, and it doesn't work. So when focus on profitability, when you have your strategy, when you have your vision where you go along through continuous improvement, and when you focus on keeping your customers happy, this is where your business gonna holistically get better, be more sustainable, and achieve profitability after. Not return on investment, they're two different things, but profitability. So altogether, that's gonna make business be much more effortless.
Yeah, I agree. Now, there's leaders out there that are probably wondering, hey, how does continuous improvement fall in line with me? And, in organizations, we don't really spend too much time investing in the continuous improvement of our leaders. That is an area where I don't see a KPI for it. Right? I don't
Oh
see
yeah.
somebody saying, "Hey, this is part of the return on investment, producing great leaders out of here." It's usually short sighted. Doesn't spend
Mhm.
people don't spend too much time on it, and when they don't see the investment from the corporation or organization on them, then they are either held to, I have to do this for myself because I value myself, or I have to do this for myself because my job requires me to do it. But we don't see too much of that investment on the continuous improvement of the leadership. What would you suggest corporations to start thinking? You talk about change in thought and approach.
Oh, oh, I don't work with corporations because I'm powerless. Um, but in reality, you see, I have a different theory about leadership, and it's not a theory, it's actually truth, but people don't often talk about it. And
Hmm.
oh my God, I'm gonna sound so bad. Um, you know the thing that there's a proverb that says the fish rots from the head, but it's often cleaned from the tail. When we talk about leadership, often we try to fix the consequences with perks, on-site psychologists, different schedule, HR committees,
Right.
strict, non-strict, whatever policies. Those are all the tail. Those are all consequences, right? Because it's all comes from leadership, because leaders are those who set the culture for the company. And if something is not working within the company, and I talk about demotivation, stress, burnout, overwhelm, forget about employees. They are here for nothing. It's not their fault. Instead of fixing culture, look at the management and the leadership team who set the culture and the theme, the ambiance for this organization.
Right.
And what I experience, and that's my personal story, but this is something that I paid attention to recently. You know, I coming from a corporate background, and 3 times I was lucky to work for absolutely amazing leaders. And the whole team, I mean, we were all burning to make company success. Nobody asked us for it. We did it because we wanted to do it. Long story short. But both companies are multinationals. So all leaders were grown from within, as it typically happens. And we all within the companies were going through the same trainings, like 360 leadership capabilities, endless assessments, name it. We all had it. So, which means that in the ideal world, we were supposed to be the same because we all got the same training,
Right.
but we were not. And when amazing, marvelous leaders left because they got promoted and got relocated, we got new ones. And then the whole thing went downhill, right?
Mm.
The culture has changed. So that made me think lately when I was, preparing, looking at my coaching programs. It's like, that is really strange. So it's nothing to do with trainings, right? There's something else that is not working. And then when you start thinking about it, you have your person, the personality, it's the core. And then you start adding, I don't know, trainings on top. It's like
Hmm.
extra armor, whatever you call it. But the core is underneath, right? So trainings don't help if the core isn't fit for purpose. It's,
Mm.
I don't know, it's a nice way of saying it. Probably not, but well, too late. So yeah, when we're looking at leaders, it's not the trainings, and again, it's definitely not the employees. It's about how you perceive yourself. It's your self-concept. If you feel comfortable, if you feel secure in your role as a leader, then you have nothing to worry about. You have nothing to protect yourself from, because all controlling tendencies, all tendencies that we don't like, they come from two things. Either it's fixed mindset, which means lack of confidence, or in the worst case scenario, it's a little bit damaged self-worth, which means insecurities. And then we try to protect ourselves, making actually living hell for other people around us. If you accept yourself for who you are, and the truth is, we were born amazing and we're all amazing, but we acquire so much shit over a lifetime that we're getting screwed. But whatever we don't like about ourselves, not us. If you don't like something about you, it is not you. It's something that you acquired, which means you can unacquire it.
Mm.
You can get rid of it. So you get rid of everything that doesn't serve you. You get back to who you meant to be, and you accept yourself. And from that place, any type of leadership is going to be so much easier, because you don't have to impose anything. You don't have to protect anything. You don't have to control anything. You can be a human being. And you can be a human being with people around you in the workplace. And you know what? They will accept you, and they will
Mhm.
appreciate it, and they will reciprocate. So again, I understand it's easier said than done. But if somebody wants to have a positive change within the company, within the culture, within the team, to make other people more comfortable working together, especially with business, because we all want people to be motivated, then probably change is worth it. But
Yeah.
it's,
No, absolutely. And earlier when we started, I had said, "Hey, I often ask myself why you just can't be right." And
exactly, it's exactly that. Yeah,
but you brought up a great point. Is that some people they want to be, but they've been covered by things they've acquired throughout life, whether good, bad, or ugly, and have lost the thought or ability to understand that if you acquired it, you can dish it out. Just get rid of it, right?
exactly.
It
Yeah,
may take some more work than others because we're all individual, but you can. And I'm definitely a testament of that. That the things that I was laden with, I unladen myself and got rid
exactly.
of it for the sake of transformation. Now I want to get into this transformation piece because
Yeah, it's exactly, I'm another living testament that it's possible, although probably in your case it was conscious. In my case, it wasn't. I
hmm,
didn't choose it, it just happened.
so that's interesting because I did choose to get rid of certain different things. Um, Obviously, I did not choose how they got to me, right? That wasn't a thing, but I did systematically line these things up and say, okay, this is not definitely serving me in a positive way at all. You have to get rid of this thing. You got to defeat this as it defeated you once. Now you got to defeat it. So when you say chosen, not chosen, what do you mean?
Oh, I probably said a bit more than I was supposed to. Oh, right. Okay, let's try to find a way around it.
All right.
So, some sometimes you appear to be in the circumstances of not your choice, of not your
Yeah.
choosing. And I I wasn't happy, I would say, at least. But there was, yeah, I chose the path of self-destruction.
Okay.
That's I found to be the easiest way out of the situation, I think, as most people do.
Yeah.
And obviously, self-destruction didn't work out. So I decided to change completely everything around me because I thought that changing the surrounding gonna mean the start of new life. Basically, I was running away from myself,
Right.
right? Which I also now know it doesn't work. And guys, if you still believe you can do it, no, you can't. You bring yourself with it. So, and then I appeared to be in a situation where everything that I thought was um, not shaping, what would be rather describing my identity was taken away from me.
Mm.
Because we see ourselves as, again, as we're conditioned to think according to what we think is right. It's too much thinking, but it's years and years and years that we bring along. And usually we define ourselves a certain set of roles and characteristics that are also conditioned to something else. I'm gonna be good if I, and whatever if I is, if I achieve something, I earn something, I lose something, it doesn't really matter, but it all comes with conditioning. And when this conditioning is fulfilled, then we feel worthy. Because according to our own standards, that again, that are not our own, that the funny thing is, they're not our own. They are acquired. And again, if they don't serve you, you can shed them. But it's a different story, but it is possible. So, and all the conditions that I was using as crutches to define myself, they were taken away from me. Just happened.
Okay.
And I appeared, I was good few months, a long period, I guess. I appeared to be in a situation where I didn't any longer know who I was. Because the identity that I crafted for myself, it's gone. I had no identity. And I still have no identity. And it feels amazing. It feels so liberating. And together with this identity, I got rid of all the unhelpful thinking because this identity, it comes with expectations. It comes with desires. It comes with worries. It comes with regrets. All the thing. If you start looking behind what, again, how you behave, what made you behave this way, what is the emotion, what created this emotion, when you start dissect the whole thing, you will realize that either you worry about something or you expected something but you didn't get it, or again, you label something, or you had a different preconceived idea and it wasn't truth, it was something else. So when you don't have this identity, when you don't have this beliefs, everything is taken away. You are naked, not a pretty picture, but this is how you start afresh. And this is what happened to me. And this is why I'm saying that I realized everything that didn't. So actually, it was quite funny because I was having a lot of peer coaching sessions. It was fantastic conversation. And a lot of peer coaches, they all go through beliefs.
Yeah.
Although not everybody is trained to be a transformational coach, and not everybody had a lot of therapy training like I did, because I really enjoyed it. And then they start asking me questions. It's like, you procrastinate. What are you afraid of? What are your fears? What are your worries? Like, I don't have any. Like, yeah, but how can I help you? How can you progress? I have a plan and I do. It's like, but do you get angry? Like, no, I don't. I don't have ups and downs and emotions, just all mellow all the time. So the best feedback I heard, oh, you have such a little self-awareness. You need to work on yourself. I think that's brilliant. That's fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So yeah, there are situations and people that kind of don't have identity because it got dissolved.
Yeah, and that's amazing. I was as you was talking, I envisioned the caterpillar, right? If the caterpillar ever got wind that they were going to become a butterfly,
It's exactly
there'd be
that.
trouble.
It's exactly that.
There'd
Yeah,
be trouble because there would be resistance. Now the caterpillar just goes about eating its way as it's supposed to because
yeah.
they know that there's something urging them to eat, right? There's something. I don't know why I want to eat so much. Now, I've never been in a caterpillar's mind, but I'm just hypothetically putting this out,
He would
right?
be quite a large one. You know?
But they're just doing what they were made to do per at that time. But there comes a time where they're like, I've eaten all I can. That's it. Something else is coming, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do that. And you see them create this cocoon. It's just amazing
It's
how that
exactly that.
transformation is.
It's actually the best analogy, and I believe that this is the typical analogy that's used for such transformation. And yes, before you're a caterpillar, when you go through transition period, you are in a cocoon, and it's not funny. It's challenging. It's really tough. But then when you emerge, on the other end, you emerge as a butterfly, and the world is different. And there's another thing that I want to mention for those people or leaders who are afraid of unarming themselves, of getting
Mm.
rid of all this protection and belief because they're afraid of losing people around or being weird or something. Because, again, people have a lot of fears. So, the one important fear, don't afraid of losing people, because the people you're going to acquire, you're going to meet along the way, going to be so much better. That's point number one. And the point number two, it's freedom. I know it sounds very aspirational, and people didn't experience it. And often it's like, how you can be free in that free world? Yes, you can be free because your freedom is from within. And when you set yourself free, you are not afraid any longer. So that's a fantastic state to be in. And if you're ready to live in the state and to lead from the state and to create from the state, you won't believe how much the world changes and how much it's going to be easier for you.
And what's beautiful about that is that independent freedom, that inner freedom, doesn't ask permission.
Yeah.
It's not concerned about this, that, and the other outside. It's really focused on how can I get to the point where none of these things really matter. 'Cause, I unfortunately in my family we've had several deaths in sequence in
Oh,
the last 3 years. Mom, dad, brother, mother-in-law, all in very short. And here recently we was going through some of their things that they left behind,
oh
and
dear.
and you're and but what happened was while I was going through those things, of course you like, oh man, this person's not here no more, and things like that. But what you realize is, what for? Why did they get this? What- now I got to deal with it. what why did why did they get this? What was the
In the first
mentality?
place.
Yeah, it's like, so they thought that they needed it, but it outlasted them. Right?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Pharaoh, right? Pharaoh and you go into the pyramids, you got these rooms full of nothing but gold. And
Yeah.
for what? And so when you think about, yes, we live in this world, we want certain things, we want to enjoy certain things. Okay, I understand it. I live that life, right? But when it really boils down to, at the end, I wonder how many people that go on to that next life got to that point and said, man, I lived a free life. Man,
Not
I lived like I wanted to. And yeah, I can go. I can go. Um, Not many, I don't think. Uh, and so if you are in this life now, I for those listening, viewing, I see several on LinkedIn, several on YouTube.
Oh my God, I'm getting famous.
Can, can consider what that last moment will be. Can you say, I lived free? Or are you currently in a situation where you feel like that freedom is so far away? Because I'll tell you right now, as we're coming to the close of this, Erin can help. I know that. And so, talking about that, Erin, and there's a comment, and so I'll bring this up because Adriana is a good friend of ours, our family. Yes, the caterpillar analogy is perfect. My last transformation was horrible. You know, if I would have known, right, it would be so painful. I wouldn't have done it. But God knew I had to do to, and because of it,
I have never been happier.
I have never been
It's,
happy.
it's exactly, it's
You
exactly.
know, um, what do you say about that comment? And then I want to get to the point where we at least let the listener, the viewer, know how to get a hold of you, how to get a hold of your services, and all that.
Right. Okay. In terms of the last comment, and I'm so pleased, I'm so grateful for Rihanna to leaving as a supporting what we both were saying, because ultimately there is a choice. You know, when we live again in a struggle, we don't realize that it is because we take it for granted. We take it as given. This is what life is like.
Mm,
And yes, we're afraid of any changes, but when the change is for better and we know why we undergo it, it's going to be challenging because you have to shed everything that you acquired. But there's so many people that saying that it's going to be so much better on the other side. What exactly are we afraid of? That's the question. If you're afraid of changing, then don't say that you're afraid of change. Ask yourself, what exactly are you afraid of? Losing, acquiring, often losing, I would presume.
mhm,
So, what is exactly stopping you? If you don't know what expects you on the other side, talk to those people who know. Many people went through it. And another thing, in terms of freedom, yes, you were talking about things, and we do acquire a lot of things, obviously. But freedom, it's not about being poor or living in a field. You may want to do it too, it's your choice. We all have choices. But freedom is in your head as much as your struggles are. We have people who talk about anxiety, who talk about depression, who talk about it's a horrible. Okay, I'm not going to talk about it. Uh, and in reality, it's 70%, at least. It's all here, and your freedom is in your head too. It doesn't mean you have to be poor. It means that you're gonna be free. But for that, you need to realize that at the moment you're not. So if you don't feel good about where you are at the moment, you are not free. So
yeah.
freedom in this particular case, I guess it can be called peace. It's a very nice word when it comes to peace of mind and your
Right.
existence, the way you go through life. So yeah, freedom, it's a synonym of peace.
Yeah, definitely. I've experienced that piece. I get to see that and feel it on a daily basis. So I'm definitely grateful for that. Now, Erin, if someone may not be in that position, may not be in such a free life at the moment, are challenged with, business struggles, leadership struggles, and transformation in general, how can they get a hold of you to have you help them?
Oh, oh my God, it can't be much easier than that because on LinkedIn there's my profile, right? So you can just click on it. I don't know if it's going to be any other additional links under the video in the show notes. You can click on the show notes. If you're on YouTube, you can click on my profile on YouTube and it's going to lead you somewhere. I don't remember where, but somewhere is going to lead you. Right. So, yeah, but it's not the most important thing. The most important thing is for you to want to change. to choose consciously, choose the change. Because if you don't, nobody can help you, right? Like, I'm just a coach, and you are just, you are coach of the coaches, right? And even you can't help if somebody doesn't want to change. So that's the first step that you need to do for yourself. Realize whether you're ready, whether you want it.
Well, definitely. We'll have everything as part of the comments, the show notes, and all that for you to get a hold of Erin. And this final comment here: the biggest cause of fear around change is uncertainty. We automatically become increasingly fearful and anxious in the face of the unknown and uncertainty. People want freedom and they want change, but they fear the uncertainties, right? The rat race.
Yeah,
that, that
yeah,
that
absolutely.
hamster wheel, like I want it, and it's always eluding me. And so thank you, Maria, for sharing that.
It's a very, very good comment. There's one thing to say, that the first thing, that the whole life is uncertain, even the one that we're choosing to live at the moment,
Right.
as the first thing, because nothing is guaranteed and we don't know what's going to happen next hour. So there's no certainty. And I know about it because I was an employee all my life and I thought I was safe and secure. All right. No, nothing else. And another thing, I guess, is just to accepting the fact that life isn't certain. You can't control it. We all know about three circles: those we can control, those we can influence, and those that we can't control at all. So life we can't control. And you know what? Live with it. There's there's no solution. You can't control it. So it is uncertain. But it can be uncertain and miserable, or it can be uncertain or peaceful. Maria, I won't be able to talk for
Yeah.
days about
We're
it.
at our
But
time.
you know what?
Yeah.
I may actually eventually take on a challenge.
Well, definitely. Hey, Maria, reach out, reach out to Erin, and you guys can have a conversation. But, folks, we are at the end of our segment for today, and I just want to encourage
Surprise.
everybody. Erin's like, I made it. All right. But I just want to let everybody know that we are on the hunt for 700 subscribers on our DTLW podcast channel. We're about 29 or so away from 700, so thank you for that. But we are giving away a authored signed leadership book. So that's what happens when we do that. We have had guests on the show. They sign the book, send it to me, and I give it away every time we reach a 100 milestone. So if you like to be in the running for that, please subscribe and enjoy all of the other guests that have been on. Erin, thank you so much for sharing your afternoon, your evening, early evening with me all the way in the UK. Folks, thank you for being with us today, and we appreciate Maria, Adriana, and all those
Absolutely.
that have been with us today. I wish you a great Friday, a great and safe weekend, and we will talk with each other next week when we have another guest. Erin, thank you so much.
Thank you
Be
so much. It
blessed.
was an amazing conversation. Thank you.